It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of February 10th, 1995. We've got 3 movies to look at today, so let's get right to it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, the film that introduced Hollywood to a little-known star from Saturday Night Live named Adam Sandler, and that movie is, of course, Billy Madison. So you might find this kind of surprising considering that everybody considers this one of Sandler's best movies, and the film became a big hit at the time financially, but as the years have gone on, it's garnered a cult following. But honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I mean, it's not a bad movie per se, and it certainly beats the crap out of some of Adam Sandler's more recent works, more recent comedies, I should say. He has made some great movies as of late. Uncut Gems and Hustle was pretty good on Netflix, but I don't know. This one is not. This one just doesn't really work for me as much as I would prefer his other movie that he did after this, Happy Gilmore. Like I think that's one of his best movies. But I will say that this movie is funny. There are moments in here that are memorable and memorably funny. Like I love. Like there's a lot of good funny moments that I will still remember from this movie. Like when he's speaking gibberish at the dining room table because his brother Bradley Whitford's just fucking with him, and he's just going on. He's just talking gibberish. Like that's funny to me. That's something that just holds up every time I watch it. It never not makes me laugh, but it has a lot of memorable lines. You know, like today, Junior, and like all that. And like the scene at the end of the spelling bee where the guy's just like, "I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul." If he goes on this long rant about how wrong he was on these fronts, but it's just like there are a lot of funny moments in here. I think my biggest problem with the movie is that I don't know. I don't know. Billy Madison himself is not really much of a likable character in this movie. I mean, yeah, what he's trying to do, he's trying to complete 12 grades of school in order to get this ability to run the company from his father, played by the old man from the Christmas Story. And I don't know. I don't think they really did a good job of making him that much of a likable character. Like in Happy Gilmore, you do like him, and you like that he is kind of a maniac, but he's also, in the end, kind of a good person because he's trying to make sure that his grandmother has a place to live in, and since she's not living in this crazy. Now I can't remember it now. Why can't I remember it now? A crazy retirement home led by Ben Stiller. Good lord. You know, that's the one thing I hate about doing these videos is that every time I think I know what I'm going to say, it just goes away out of nowhere, and I have to really think to myself, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? But yeah, that's what I was trying to say the whole time. Like I said, it's not a terrible movie. It's not even a bad movie. It is a funny film. I think it has a lot of good performances all around. Like, you can buy into the chemistry between him and Adam Sandler and Bridget Wilson. You know, Bradley Whitford plays a fun villain. Norm Macdonald's very funny in here. Darren McGavin's also in here as well. I just personally don't think it's his best. It's one of his best movies. I think it's a funny film. I think he's made a lot more enjoyable comedies than this one. But like I said, it's not a terrible movie by any means necessary. I just feel like there's a whole lot of other good Adam Sandler movies than this one. Like I said, I've liked the next movie he did after this, Happy Gilmore. But we'll get to that when we get to '96. But yeah, like I said, not a terrible movie by any means. In fact, far from it. It is still an enjoyable little comedy. I just don't think it's as good as many people give it credit for. I think there have been much better comedies from him besides this one. That's just my personal opinion, but that's the power of free speech. We can say whatever we want to. We can criticize whatever we want to. And that's the beauty of free speech and the internet. So, what was my point of even talking about that? But I don't know. I'm losing my mind right now. Anyway, let's move on. That's Billy Madison. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, and Leonardo DiCaprio in the Western The Quick and the Dead. I honestly forgot that Sam Raimi directed this movie. I mean, when you really look at this movie, you can't really tell that it is a Sam Raimi film. I mean, not even you don't even see like most of the usual Sam Raimi tropes, like the stuff that we're used to seeing from him. Until I noticed it now in this trailer, watching it again, you can see little bits and pieces of it, but for the most part, it's not really a whole lot there. But that's kind of what makes this movie kind of interesting. It's one of his more, I think it's more of an experimental film. It's definitely something outside of his norm. This is coming at a point when he was trying to get some trying to do a little bit more mainstream stuff, more experimental stuff. Like he had this, but yeah, this he also did A Simple Plan, which is a much better film in my opinion. And then he did For Love of the Game, and then The Gift, and then eventually he would come back to kind of what he used to do best a little bit with the Spider-Man movies. But this is one of the first of those little experimental films that, and I think it kind of works for the most part. Like it's a movie that it's very formulaic. It's a revenge story. You've got Sharon Stone playing the drifter coming into town, and she's going to fight the bad guy in this movie, Gene Hackman, which is he's kind of playing the same type of role that he did in Unforgiven, sort of, not a lot though, but yeah, it's a pretty solid movie. I like seeing Sharon Stone in like this type of a role. Like I don't usually, it's like the last couple of movies that I've seen her in, it's been basically just Basic Instinct all over again. But here, she gets a chance to actually show that hey, she can actually act in other movies and other types of films, and she actually plays pretty well against Gene Hackman. You also have Leonardo DiCaprio, Russell Crowe's in here as well. Robert Blossom from Home Alone, Lance Henriksen, Pat Hingle from Batman, Gary Sinise is in here, and it's COVID. And part of the script is written by Joss Whedon too. I didn't notice that either, but like, it's a very entertaining film. It's a film that takes a little time to appreciate and realize that once you realize that this is Raimi trying to do something a little bit different from outside of his normal shtick, it actually does kind of work. It's an engaging film. It's a very formulaic script, but the actors put it together so very well, and you do like the action sequences in here. It's a nice little Western film. It's one that I'm glad I got a chance to revisit and actually realize that there's actually something there after all. But yeah, I was very surprised the first time I saw that this was actually by Sam Raimi, and it just shows his range too. It shows his range as a filmmaker as well. So that's The Quick and the Dead. Now let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Danny Boyle's Shallow Grave. This definitely feels like a Danny Boyle movie. This actually has a lot, I can definitely tell that there's a lot of influence that would later come into play with Trainspotting and A Life Less Ordinary. Danny Boyle overall is just a great director that can usually work very well in different types of genres. He could give you something straightforward like Yesterday, or something like A Life Less Ordinary, or he could do something very stylistic like Trainspotting and A Life Less Ordinary. He could do a very dramatic movie like Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours. He could do horror movies like 28 Days Later, a great biopic in Steve Jobs, a sci-fi film in Sunshine. He's one of those great directors who can handle all these different types of he can handle all these different genres and make it work so well. And I think in this movie in particular, you could definitely see a lot of all the things that makes him one of those great directors that we've come to know him as, because he creates the stylistic, visually and pleasing mystery thriller. It's also a fun black comedy with Ewan McGregor and Christopher Eccleston involved in the cast. And it's a very simple story, but it's so unique and so creative in the way that he handles this that it's hard not to take your eyes off it, because it's hard to take your eyes off of it. Is that really what I say? It's hard to take your eyes off of, yeah. It's a toy boat. It's hard to take your eyes off of the screen because you're so invested in how this is going to end and how this is going to transpire, and it does deliver a lot there. It's a very stylistic film, visually pleasing film, a great cast overall. It's a really enjoyable film. So that is Danny Boyle's Shallow Grave. You know, I'm going to keep some of those outtakes in there. Why not? I mean, why not do that? But anyway, that's going to wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies. But next time we meet, we'll look at the middle of February with a couple of notable films, including the Brady Bunch movie, Sean Connery and Just Cause, one of Judd Apatow's early films, Disney's Heavyweights, which also stars Ben Stiller, and also A Great Day in Harlem. So 4 movies to look at next time around. We'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.